And your crypto friends, my name is Dennis Paulo. I am the CEO and co-founder of Edgy. In this video, we're going to give an answer to the question, did Xi Jinping just move Bitcoin 40% over the weekend? We're going to look if fundamental news by itself can change prices, or if the trading anatomy of the market, even in those extreme cases, still plays a role. So let's dive right into it. Leading to the U-turn, we first of all had a descending triangle bearish breakdown. So we can perfectly see the highs, the lower highs, the lower highs, yet again in this region lower highs, and always touching the same bottom here for the third time, fourth time, before the bears got the break out of this descending triangle, and the potential after a huge break after this length of time is always more bearish. So we have our pole, okay, we get our pole, it's a big bearish breakdown, and from this pole, we first of all, if we now go into the 4-hour chart, we got a nice bear flag. This bear flag was upholding pretty nicely, as we can see here, and from this bear flag, we first of all saw the bear breakdown. So this was the more probable scenario. We have a bearish breakdown out of a much bigger consolidation phase. From then we form this bear flag, and yet another time we see a solid breakdown to the downside, and which already leads to solid more than 8% profit potential. But here it comes now. From the bear breakdown that follows, we get into a mini bear flag equilibrium range. We can perfectly see this range going on quite a long time, and instead of seeing a proper bear breakout from this bear flag, which could for example come here, we are instead consolidating quite a few times and for quite some length here, so even longer than the pole that we had breaking down. So we're consolidating, and every hourly candle, every 4-hourly candle that we consolidate leads to a lesser chance that the bears will see follow through. It literally eventually becomes 50-50 before the bulls break out here. Now note that this is before the news. So the bulls are seeing the bull breakout, and the bears are not seeing follow through before any news comes out here. And we are already on the way heading higher. And then we got the fundamental news that Xi Jinping is calling for China to play a leading role in the blockchain space. This message got amplified by leading American experts in the field. David Marcus from Libra and Facebook Messenger retweeted it with a thinking face. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase tweeted, "The race is on." Conclusion, this news definitely had an immediate fundamental effect on the price early on Friday, which just amplified the bulls, negating the previous bear flag, where the bears already didn't see follow through. What followed next is not unusual, only the extent of it was pretty much unexpected. As we can see here, from 2018 in September, XRP actually had a very similar price action ongoing, where the bears saw a bearish breakdown and they couldn't see follow through. So the price move was not as strong as in Bitcoin's case, but the psychology was exactly the same, where the bulls returned. They basically built a U-turn, and they broke not just one resistance above higher, but as we can now see, multiple resistances. So this was the first zone, they broke even a second zone, eventually leading to a tripling of the price, as we can see here, which was very similar to Bitcoin's case, and also with a huge uptick of profit taking here happening, basically people FOMOing in eventually in the end. And yes, so we had this actually happen before. So you might ask yourself now, how is that possible that we had a similar pattern previously, which played out the exact same way? Like, how could we have seen this coming? The concept behind it is easy to understand. This is exactly where technical analysis and proficiency in support and resistance zones comes into play. It starts with asking yourself, who is trapped? So if we start up with XRP's price action again, it is very clear who is trapped, because we have a bearish breakdown. Okay, you can say that people might have taken profit here, but many of those bears, they will have their stops set above this region. So for the case that this bearish price action doesn't see follow through, they will let themselves stop out here. So that means once we get the U-turn, this area, in this area, we will get all the bears closing their positions who went short here, and we will on top get all the bulls now going long. This leads to basically this candle, this magnified move that is ongoing here. The second one is actually happening once we get into this equilibrium shaped zone. If you look at this triangle that was going on here, so we had sort of an equilibrium range which was perfectly ongoing, and this was accepted by the market. It was going from 32 cents to up to 36 cents, and we very shortly stalled at this region, and we built another consolidation in here before the bulls started heading higher. Once we broke above this zone, don't forget again, all the people who had been short from here, from this break here, they, for the case if they haven't taken profit, they will have had to close their positions. Okay, so they are closing their positions while we are heading higher, leading to this hugely magnified move upwards. And then we literally have to get the scale in here because it's going to be too big. Now the previous breakouts look very minor to what is eventually going to come, because if we now zoom out, we can see the eventual bearish descending triangle going on here, albeit with a fake out. So there we go. And we have eventually broken this to the downside, where XRP had fallen down from this descending triangle up to 40%. This whole range we had been consolidating in from June up to August. And once we saw the break even above that zone, even here, all big pockets, all institutionals who had been still short from this region, they will have to close their positions, leading to this hugely magnified move. The wicks are going up to 80 cents. The market is not respecting this, not accepting that price range, and immediately we see the correction down, but nonetheless, it eventually leads to a tripling. So if we now compare this to Bitcoin, in Bitcoin's case, it wasn't even that much. We just saw a U-turn back into the range that we had previously ongoing, around 8,000 and 8,800. So from this range, when we now look into it, we basically got one category trapped here. So the category that was trapped was the one that went short here. They will have to close their positions. We can perfectly see how important the horizontal break actually is when the bulls are consolidating. So we can perfectly see they are doing this U-shaped recovery. They are coming exactly up to the previous highs here where we had been consolidating at 8,800, and they don't immediately see the push through, but once they do, and this is exactly the crucial point, once they see the break above higher, we can perfectly see how this whole area now, this whole bearish price action, this consolidation phase gets negated into this candle, and all those people who are short here are closed. They close the positions by going long. So I have one short, I'm -1, and I will have to do +1 to close my short. And on top, I will get all the people who are going long. So the move, because of those two categories, gets magnified into this huge upwick, people also FOMOing into, and then we basically come up to the previous descending triangle price action. But we can perfectly see that the market is not accepting that. So the market is rejecting from that price zone because, quite frankly, even that zone now has become too much to handle. So it has broken above quite a few times, but now it's rejecting from this previous zone. It's not accepting this price. And now we have the potential for a nice tightening range. If you look at the price now ongoing, just because of the sheer magnitude of the move, we have a nice equilibrium potential where we will be tightening between those ranges and eventually see a breakout to the upward downside. Now, when we look at our predictive indicators that we're currently deploying for hedge funds, we can also see the market reaction perfectly captured by the volatility bands. The bands are a proprietary measurement of the VWAP, which you can see here in yellow. This is the volume weighted average price, a purely institutional viewpoint, plus internal calculations about mass and energy, which enables us to predict with extremely high accuracy whenever an extreme inside the chart is reached. We can perfectly see this playing out when we reach the outer bands, and following that we can have three options mainly, so we can immediately shoot above higher. If you can look at this here, we can see that sort of a mean reversion, or we can move sideways before we come back to the mean. This eventually happens with the push above here, and in just a couple of days here we come perfectly from oversold from the bands, we perfectly shoot up to the upper side of the bands, so basically to the complete opposite side, albeit we are even going a little bit higher. We can definitely not negate this. We are shooting even above the bands here, which is extremely rare, and which means that we will see an immediate bearish reaction coming, and that definitely follows here. We cannot maintain the zone just given the volatility and the mass of the move. And even from here, Bitcoin already up to the highs is making more than 40%. So more than that is just not possible. And this is exactly what happens. We get a correction. Conclusion. Was this an amazing trading opportunity? Absolutely. Did I profit from it personally? No. I was away on Friday at a startup event, and I could never have seen it coming in this magnitude, not at least. And therefore, I didn't have any order set. It was literally a trade where you would have had to sit in front of it to be able to capture it. But guess who got that move? Our bot did, which automatically trades based on that knowledge that I've just shown you. Bots are tricky to configure and hard to trust, but they solve one of the critical issues of trading. Time. Time is money. You cannot sit in front of the computer all the time to be able to capture all those magnificent moves. You could very well have also been asleep while it happened. In any case, if you're a serious trader and hodler in the space, you need to actively manage your account or let someone else do it for you. Otherwise, moves such as these can wipe you out pretty quickly. If you're interested in our automation offering, just look in the description and apply. We are happy to work together with you. Having said that, don't forget to smash the like button, to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the amazing trading content. I wish you a beautiful rest of the week, no matter where you are on this planet, and say adios amigos. See you.